Right. Well, for a wider analytical look into President Trump's wave of tariffs, let's bring in now to speak on this, an economist, and he's also the CEO of Leeds Network of Africa. Mr. Chukwuma Okenwa joins me from Enugu. We thank you very much for coming onto the program at this time. But what do you make of this economic independence, as President Trump puts it?
Well, I think just like every other major economic shift with anticipated outcomes, there is the other aspect of it, which is the unanticipated consequences. And this is the very fact that the US president only sees it from the lens of America first, without actually understanding and appreciating the fact that no nation is designed and can survive as an island. No nation on earth is an island. The world and the countries thereof are so interconnected that you cannot do without others. So imagine a situation where one country declares seemingly what has been described as economics and global pundits as a global trade war on every other nation. Is the US going to feel the impact? Well, the impact is already very visible, as there are several protests already, being felt across the.
What are your thoughts on what this means for Africa? If I'm correct, South Africa is going to be paying a 34% tariff, while Nigeria will be paying tariffs of 14%.
Well, what I would think and what I would say is that the level of impact this is going to have on Africa, it's going to be a function of the kind of response that comes from Africa. And what I mean by that is that Africa at this point, just like we see the EU, working as one bloc, speaking with one voice, collating their response. There are meetings upon meetings with diplomats, politicians, trying to find out what is going to be the response to this US policy. And I can tell you, if the different African countries decide to respond individually, considering that just one economy, and the biggest economy, of course, in Europe, and I'm talking about Germany, is almost 1.5 times bigger than entire Africa. I mean, so you can imagine like how significant we are in terms of the global GDP. So what is actually going to give us that edge is two things: ability to, first of all, speak as one voice, one bloc, what is going to be our policy response, and then number two, there are significant spheres of influence that other nations are trying to align with, in terms of superpowers. And that's going to be one of the strategies to actually respond. Otherwise, I mean, it's not going to be like a favorable one for Africa in any manner, because of course.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Candyland on that point. I don't want to lose that that line of thought from your end.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that because when you want to a kind of follow the principle of reciprocity, you also compare your capacity with the nation you want to reciprocate. Otherwise, they could also begin to touch some policies, like maybe sending back your citizens home, those that even are legally resident there with some jobs. You know that diaspora remittances is one of our major sources of forex to this country.
Right.
So there are ways they can actually do that, and it will impact us the more.
All right, so let's end on this note now. First, Russia isn't in the list of countries that will be paying tariffs either by way of reciprocity or even on the baseline category. And then looking at the way stocks are tumbling back in America, what does that translate for you about the state of the U.S. economy?
So what I would say first with respect to Russia would be I see two things. Perhaps President Trump doesn't want to take any decision that's going to affect the current possible peace deal that the U.S. is leading. And secondly, will also be, if China is out, then you need a Russia, perhaps in the economic template. But the wider vision and the dream of all it all is when you have over 100 nations trying to say, well, the U.S. is all against us, and we've seen what the Trump is doing. I am afraid that this is going to take America back to those realms of being isolated, right? from the global landscape. America has suffered that before, and it's about to, suffer that again, because we see that also, like a president attacking the World Health Organization, the Climate Pact, everything globalization, including the World Trade Organization. So that's going to have like dire consequences for the United States of America.
All right, Chukwuma Okenwa, will rest on this point now. We thank you very much for your contributions and hope to reconnect with you at another date.
You're welcome.